Paul Newman once shared his list of the 8 most beautiful women ever. Those famous blue eyes of his saw so much. For years and years, Paul Newman was like the top guy in Hollywood for looking handsome and manly. But what really showed how deep he was came from how he talked about beauty in women. A friend who knew him for more than 40 years said Paul really got women in a special way most guys don't. He didn't just look at how pretty they were on the outside. He noticed their personality, their smarts, and all the special things that made some women stick in your mind forever. In his older years, after being married a long time to Joanne Woodward and acting with so many gorgeous women in movies, Paul sometimes told private thoughts about beauty that went way past the usual Hollywood stuff. Paul was famous for his funny line about staying faithful. He said, "Why go out for a hamburger when you have steak at home?" A director who made movies with him explained it. But that didn't mean Paul didn't notice beautiful women around him. He just saw beauty in his own way, different from most guys in Hollywood. Tonight, we're sharing Paul Newman's own list of the 8 most beautiful women ever. Not only how amazing they looked, but the special things this famous actor saw in each one that made them more than just pretty, they became impossible to forget. Joanne Woodward, the beauty that kept him happy at home. Paul's thoughts about the most beautiful women always started and ended with one name, Joanne Woodward, his wife for 50 years. While most marriages in Hollywood broke up super fast, like film disappearing in chemicals, Paul and Joanne's love was the rare one that lasted in a world full of short connections. A family friend who knew them forever said she was always his number one. Paul could talk about other pretty women like an artist talking about art. But when he talked about Joanne, his voice got softer, more loving and respectful. Paul made that famous joke about being faithful. Why go out for a hamburger when you have steak at home? But people close to them knew that joke didn't tell the whole story of what Paul saw in Joanne. Her beauty wasn't flashy, it was forever, Paul told a reporter once when he opened up a little. Joanne had this special thing that you saw more and more over time. First time you meet her, you think, wow, she's really pretty. By the 10th time, you realize you're with someone amazing. Unlike some co-stars who were big, loud beauties, Joanne had what Paul called smart beauty, looks plus quick thinking, and real love for acting that made her way more interesting than just cute. Paul loved that Joanne was beautiful, but beauty didn't control who she was, said a director who worked with both of them. She won an Oscar before he did, and she was a serious actress who thought deeply about her roles. That mix of talent and looks kept Paul interested forever. Their marriage had tough times. Paul's drinking caused problems sometimes, and when their son Scott died from drugs in 1978, it hurt them deeply like nothing else. But through everything, Paul's love for his wife's beauty, inside and out, never got smaller. Even when they were in their 70s, you'd see Paul looking at Joanne from across the room with total amazement, a friend from their later years remembered. It wasn't just remembering how she looked young. It was loving who she was at every age. That's super rare, especially in Hollywood. For Paul, Joanne was beauty that got better with time instead of going away. A partner who became more attractive from sharing life, growing smarter together, and even the changes from getting older. In a place crazy about staying young and perfect, Paul's lasting love for his wife showed a different idea of real beauty in a woman. Now that we've talked about the special love that shaped Paul's life, let's move to a totally different kind of beauty, one with perfect class that turned into real royalty. But of course, once my children were born here, I began to feel at home. And this is where my Grace Kelly, silence in a loud room. When Paul Newman worked with Grace Kelly in 1958 on The Left-Handed Gun, he met a woman who was about to change her whole life and leave Hollywood behind forever. She had just married Prince Rainier III of Monaco, and she was finishing her last movies before becoming Princess of Monaco. A crew member from that movie remembered Paul calling her the kind of woman you can't forget even 5 minutes after meeting her. Grace seemed to live on a different level than everyone else on set. Movies are usually noisy, messy, and wild, but she moved through it all so calm and together that everyone else looked a little crazy next to her. Paul's liking for Kelly wasn't just about how pretty she was, it was her amazing self-control that made her stand out from other actresses back then. Lots of beautiful women in Hollywood tried hard to get noticed, but Kelly had this quiet sureness that pulled eyes to her without even trying. Paul told a friend after working with her that Grace looked like silence in a loud room. Grace didn't have to yell or make big entrances. She just was there so perfectly clear that everything else seemed messy compared to her. This calm, classy way wasn't fake for Kelly, it was really who she was. She grew up in a rich family in Philadelphia with strong ideas about good manners and how to act, so she brought real polish to Hollywood that felt old-fashioned, and it fit perfectly when she became a princess. Paul once said Grace Kelly was the only actress he knew who seemed more real as a princess than as a movie star, a film historian shared. He meant it as big praise. Her natural class and grace were so true that being royal felt like the next normal step, not something forced. What really amazed Paul about Kelly was how her beauty stayed the same no matter where she was. Lots of actresses looked better with Hollywood lights, makeup, and cameras, but Kelly looked just as elegant, cool, and royal all the time. Even before she was a princess, someone who worked with her in Hollywood said most beautiful women shine best in perfect setups. Grace looked exactly the same grabbing lunch in the studio cafeteria as she did on screen. Beauty that doesn't need special help or perfect moments is really, really rare. For Paul, Kelly was a special American mix, someone with normal values who had natural royal qualities that made going to European royalty feel almost meant to be. Her beauty wasn't only in her face, but in how perfectly her outside matched her inside self. While Kelly was all cool class, our next woman was the total opposite, full of fire and energy that Paul found just as amazing, but for different reasons. Marital togetherness, I think, especially if you have no room. Elizabeth Taylor, the woman who detonated rooms. If Grace Kelly was calm and classy, Elizabeth Taylor was all passion and power. Paul met Taylor lots of times over the years, even though they never made a movie together. What hit him wasn't just her famous looks, but this exploding energy that came off her. Paul loved her fire and those purple eyes, a producer who knew both in the 1960s remembered. While lots of beautiful women in Hollywood tried to seem perfect and far away, Elizabeth was all feeling and right there. She owned her beauty like a challenge, making you stare even when you tried not to. Taylor's looks were extra special because of her rare purple eyes that made her stare feel magical like no other actress then. But Paul knew her charm was bigger than just her eyes, it was her whole way of living, full of strong feelings, bravery through sickness, and no shame about what she wanted. She didn't walk into a room, she exploded into it, Paul said after one big Hollywood party where Taylor was there. Some beautiful women like to be looked at from far away. Elizabeth wanted you right up close so everyone around her felt something, maybe love, maybe scared, maybe jealous. That made Taylor super strong in Hollywood. While many beautiful women back then were controlled by studios to stay perfect, Taylor lived big and open with all her messy parts showing, lots of marriages, health fights, changing weight, and big causes she cared about. A friend who knew both called her like a volcano, beautiful in a way that burned bright. Paul really respected how Elizabeth never hid the hard stuff in her life. While other stars from their time worked hard to cover problems, she showed everything bravely. He thought that realness was super beautiful. Taylor getting older right in front of everyone, not hiding when she didn't fit young Hollywood anymore, really impressed Paul. In a place that often forgets women after a certain age, Taylor kept getting attention and respect through every part of life. Paul once said Elizabeth was the only star he knew who really seemed to like getting older, a director who worked with both shared. She didn't fight age like crazy like so many, she just added each new part of life to who she was. That kind of liking herself hit Paul as really beautiful in a world full of fake and trying to stay the same. For Paul, Taylor was beauty with real bravery behind it. A woman with amazing looks, but her choice to live true made her stay in your mind. In a time when beautiful women were mostly made-up products from studios, Taylor saying no to being controlled made her way more interesting. From Taylor's big American energy, we go to international style, the Italian actress whose mix of real sexy earthiness and smart class made beauty that crossed every line. My autobiography. And this was did go on the air about Sophia Loren, the woman who made men irrelevant. Paul worked with Sophia Loren in 1967's Lady L, and he got to see up close the amazing power of this Italian star who took over Hollywood without ever totally fit. What got him wasn't just how great she looked, but the strong self-confidence she carried. He once said she had a face that makes you forget your own name, a crew member from the movie remembered. Sophia was definitely super pretty, but more than that, she had this huge confidence and total comfort being herself that made her beauty just one part of a whole person, not the main thing. Unlike some foreign actresses who tried to hide where they came from to fit American movies better, Lauren kept her Italian ways proud, her accent, her curvy body that didn't match Hollywood's skinny idea, her hot passion for work and life, all out there. Her mix of power and sexiness left a big mark, a director who knew both said. Sophia showed a different kind of perfect than usual American beauty then. She was fully womanly, super smart, and didn't care about making herself smaller to make anyone comfy with her strength. Paul really liked how she wouldn't shrink herself. He saw how Lauren walked through Hollywood with confidence that lots of American actresses couldn't keep in a place, always judging how women look. Every guy in the room became nothing when she walked in, Paul said after a big movie opening with Lauren there. What made Sophia special wasn't just looks. It was that she never seemed to need anyone to tell her she looked good. She carried herself like she knew she was enough just as she was. Lauren's beauty got even better because she used her face so openly in acting. Unlike lots of pretty actresses who kept perfect faces to protect their image, she laughed big, cried real, and made deep characters instead of just showing a perfect mask. Paul loved that she was an actress first and pretty second, someone who knew both their work said. While many gorgeous women in movies were scared to look anything but perfect on screen, Sophia took parts where she had to look messy, old, or upset if the role needed it. That real love for acting made her beauty feel true because she didn't guard it like it was everything. For Paul, Lauren showed a real European idea of woman beauty, one that loved growing up, smart thinking, and natural body stuff instead of chasing young, often fixed-up looks that came later in Hollywood. Her being comfy with herself made her beauty grow instead of fade. From Lauren's smart sexiness, we switched to a whole different beauty, the French actress who brought real, fresh, natural looks to movies and changed everything. How do you pronounce your name? Rit Bardox. Bridget Bardin. And when were you born? 28th of September. Jeet Bardox, the hypnotic rule breaker. Even though Paul never worked straight with Bridget Bardot like most people, he was blown away by how this French actress changed what beauty meant in the late 1950s and early 1960s. Bardot was something totally new, natural, wild-looking beauty that broke away big time from the perfect, made-up glamour that ruled movies before. Paul said Bardot had that rough, not done-up look. Like rules didn't count for her. A friend who talked movies with Paul a lot remembered. What made her so new wasn't just how she looked, but how she showed it with no care for the perfect pose and styling that old stars had. Before, beautiful women on screen came from careful studio control, hair perfect, makeup exact, moves planned. Bardot brought messy hair, real moments, and a feeling she lived for her own fun, not to please watchers. She wasn't shiny and perfect, she was magnetic, Paul said after seeing And God Created Woman, the movie that made Bardot huge around the world. Most pretty women in movies seem to beg for likes from the crowd. Bardot acted like she didn't care about approval at all. She moved like she was lost in her own world, not acting it out for others. That made Bardot super ahead of her time, like a sign of the 1960s changes and new ideas about women being free. Her beauty wasn't only face stuff, but the freedom she showed, making girl sexiness feel normal and her choice, not wrapped up for guys to like. He loved how real and open her beauty was, a film expert who talked Bardot with Paul explained. Before Bardot, even top beauties acted careful and held back, always knowing eyes were on them. Bridget moved like she forgot cameras existed. That not trying too hard made a whole new kind of draw. Bardot changed more than movies, she shaped hair, makeup, and style in the 1960s. The Bardot look, messy hair, light makeup with big eyes, easy sexy feeling, was a huge switch from stiff, formal beauty after the war. For Paul, Bardot was beauty as big change. A woman who flipped how people saw things, not by planning but just by being her natural self, so strong. In a world of fake stuff, her easy pull opened new ways women could show themselves on screen and real life. From Bardot's free natural sexiness, we move to another kind. One full of smooth moves, class, and special glowing magic that felt from somewhere else. You don't give me everything I want, you give me everything you want to give me. Audrey Hepburn, the woman who floated. Out of all on Paul's list, Audrey Hepburn maybe stood farthest from usual Hollywood beauty rules of her time. When big curves and sexy looks ruled, Hepburn's thin body, soft face, and dancer grace made a whole other kind of charm that Paul found really special. Graceful, kind, and beautiful in her quiet way, someone who knew both said. While most Hollywood beauties screamed, "Look at me," Audrey's pulled you closer, made you want to lean in instead of lean back. Paul really noticed that difference, how she invited you instead of demanding attention. Her different looks first seemed bad in Hollywood. Bosses worried her skinny shape and special face didn't match the curvy Marilyn Monroe-style big in the 1950s. But her one-of-a-kind style ended up lasting longer than normal pretty ever could. He loved her eyes that looked like they'd seen another world. A director who talked Hepburn with Paul remembered. Something in her stare showed deep life beyond her age, part from hard times as a kid in war Europe, but also just who she was. Paul found that mix of soft heart and wise mind super pulling. Unlike lots of beautiful women who used looks for power, Hepburn was super humble about her beauty. She always played it down in talks, put focus on helping kids and causes, and didn't chase being a sexy star like many did. She didn't flirt, she floated, Paul said after seeing her at an event. Most pretty women in Hollywood moved knowing how they affected people. Audrey moved light and easy, like dancing through life without trying hard to impress. It was magic because it felt so real. This easy grace kept going as Hepburn got older. While many stars fought age hard or hid away, Hepburn moved smooth into later years, doing UNICEF work and letting herself age normal. Paul once said Audrey was the only beautiful woman he knew who became more herself as she aged, a friend they both knew shared. While so many stars seemed smaller when young looks went, Audrey grew into who she really was. Her kid work, quiet class, brave facing death, all showed beauty bigger than body. For Paul, Hepburn was beauty as who you are inside showing out. Looks that got meaning from real heart stuff beyond just nice to see. Her special charm couldn't boil down to sizes or parts, it came from all of her matching perfect with her true self. From Hepburn's dreamy grace, we go to something else, beauty from power, sureness, and cool American smart style. The first one, of course, gave me a life. So that obviously is the most special of all. Lauren Bacall, the most dangerous woman in a cocktail dress. Paul met Lauren Bacall lots over their careers, though never in a movie together. What hit him wasn't just her clear beauty, but the strong self-control she had from her very first film, confidence so big it turned her from pretty to scary strong. That voice, those eyes, she could make you nervous with one look. A producer who knew both remembered. Lauren had this amazing way of seeming totally in charge of herself and everything around from the second she showed up. While most young actresses seemed bendy or wanting to please, Bacall at 19 in her first movie with Bogart showed total sureness. This came partly from training. Director Howard Hawks told the nervous girl to talk low and move less to make her cool style. But what started as acting trick became real in Bacall, making a woman who walked Hollywood super sure of herself. Someone who saw them at parties called her the most dangerous woman in a cocktail dress. Paul meant big praise. Lauren could walk in and right away become the one everyone had to deal with. She didn't use girly tricks or big sexy stuff. Her strength came from brains, quick jokes, and rock-solid knowing who she was. Bacall's beauty worked different from many others then. Where some leaned on sweet looks or clear sexy, she made pull-through attitude, that famous chin-down, eyes-up look, sharp talking, standing strong against big men when that wasn't okay much. She didn't try to be pretty. She tried to win and won, Paul said after seeing one of her old movies with Bogart. What made Lauren special was never seeming to need likes. From her first scene in To Have and Have Not, she set herself equal to Bogart, not just extra. That sureness made way better beauty than plain pretty. This made Bacall feel modern even early. While many 1940s-50s actresses played women all about men, Bacall made characters with their own power, smarts, and lines they held. Things that made her more attractive. For Paul, Bacall was beauty as strength you could see. Outside stuff showing a no-compromise person that gave her looks bigger meaning than just nice. Her pull wasn't fitting old rules but making new ways a beautiful woman could take space in the world. From Bacall's classy strength, we come to our last one, the 1970s. Actress whose open, soft realness made new charm for changing times. How did it go? Ali MacGraw, the look of heartbreak before it happened. Paul knew Ali MacGraw in early 1970s Hollywood when beauty ideas moved from shiny old glamour to more real, easy stuff that matched bigger world changes. MacGraw fit this change perfect. Her fresh face and open feelings made a new way to look good on screen. He loved her raw realness and open heart in the 70s, a director who talked changing movie looks with Paul remembered. Ali came when people were done with fake and wanted real. Her beauty wasn't built like old studio stars. It felt found, not made, which made her easy to connect with in ways older stars weren't. Mac Graw's big hit in Love Story in 1970 made her the face of this new, straight-feeling beauty. Unlike calm, perfect looks of old icons, she brought open emotions that made her beautiful and feel close. Someone who saw Paul's reaction to her movies said she had eyes that made guys rethink their whole lives. What Paul found pulling about Ali wasn't just looks, but how straight she showed feelings on her face. She had no guard like most pretty actresses built. Everything she felt showed right away, making super closeness with watchers. This open heart made Mac Graw great in love stories. Her real feeling made connections that more perfect but closed-off actresses couldn't. Her beauty wasn't just parts, but choosing to be open with feelings. She looked like heartbreak waiting to happen, Paul said after seeing Love Story. Most pretty actresses hide soft spots thinking it makes them weaker. Ali did the opposite. She made soft spots her power, creating someone whose big feelings made her more pulling. For Paul, Mac Graw showed how beauty ideas changed in American movies, moving from fake, perfect old glamour to natural, feeling open stuff that matched 1970s world shifts. Her charm wasn't perfect parts, but real human stuff you saw under. Looking back at Paul's thoughts on these 8 amazing women, it's not a usual list of most perfect faces from their times. It's a deep look at how real beauty goes past looks to include personality, brains, and true being there. From Joanne Woodward's lasting charm that kept him true for 50 years to Grace Kelly's royal calm. From Elizabeth Taylor's exploding fire to Sophia Loren's sure sexiness. From Bridget Bardot's free natural ways to Audrey Hepburn's floating grace. From Lauren Bacall's strong command to Ali Mac Graw's open feelings. Paul saw that true beauty works on many levels at once. What makes Paul's view so good isn't just him being a big Hollywood star, but how careful he thought about what makes some women stay in your mind forever. In a business often called shallow about women's value, Paul always looked past outside to love the personality and smarts that lit up the looks. He was married, he stayed true, but he wasn't blind. A longtime friend who knew him well said, Paul's love for these women shows something big about beauty. The best kind doesn't stand alone, it comes from mixing looks with real heart. The women on his list weren't just pretty faces. They were full people whose beauty showed something true about who they really were. This idea of beauty as inside showing out shaped not just Paul's movie thoughts, but his own life choices too. His amazing love for Joanne Woodward showed he knew true beauty grows deeper with time and shared life, not less. A way of thinking opposite to Hollywood's usual chase for young and new. For anyone wanting to know Paul beyond his famous blue eyes and big career, his thoughts on beauty open a door to the deep thinking and heart that made him not just a star, but a real deep man. Someone who saw past surfaces to love the amazing mix of women he met in his great life in movies. If you liked hearing about Paul Newman's thoughts on beauty, give this video a like and subscribe for more stories from Hollywood's best days. Tell us in comments which of these amazing beauties you like most or what other old Hollywood stuff you want us to talk about next. Until next time, remember that true beauty, like Paul Newman really understood, isn't just what your eyes see first. It's what grabs your thoughts and stays in your heart long after that first look is gone.